You sure? It's time? Guys, it's time for Super Metroid 100% by ShinyZeni!
All right, are we live? Okay. Sorry about the technical difficulties there. I am ShinyZeni, and as my commentators, I have Zosty and Kip on the line.
Hey, Zenny, and hello to everybody at SGDQ. Hope you guys are enjoying it. We are also joined by the legendary Super Metroid runner, none other than the Zost Master himself. Zost, how are you?
I'm doing good, Kip. How you doing this morning?
I'm great, man. Can't think of a better way to start a Saturday than to watch some Super Metroid and raise some money for charity. So happy to be here.
All right. Well, they asked us to keep it short and sweet since I know we're kind of delayed. So we'll just get right into this. Do one of you guys want to give me a countdown?
Sure. We'll start in 3, 2, 1, go.
All right, so this is Super Metroid 100%. We're going to be collecting every single item in the game. That is every single, basically, suit upgrade that Samus has, in addition to all of the ammo upgrades, so missile packs, super missile packs, etc. You guys want to talk a bit about some basic things that we're going to be seeing throughout the run?
Yeah, I'll start by just saying that there's typically two kind of major routes for 100% that people usually do. There's one that's kind of the more standard route, maybe for when you're kind of getting started. It gets grapple beam early, but Zenny will be running the more aggressive world record route, which will, I believe, feature an early ice beam and then a late Crocomire and grapple. So Zost, you're a little more familiar with some of the nuances of that. Can you tell us a little bit about this route?
Yeah, the newer route, or the more optimal route, it's only like 15 seconds faster, but obviously that's a lot of time for somebody trying for a top time. But for anybody picking up the run for their first time, there's a lot of things you can do to make it a lot easier and more palatable for a newcomer. And you don't have to worry about some of these nuances that Zenny's going to have to deal with, as far as there's a clip later in Meridia that is required in this route, stuff like that. And there's other things besides the new and old route that you can add as far as changes to the route to make it easier for somebody to pick up if anybody's interested in picking up this run and likes it.
That's true, and 100% in this case means 100% item collection, probably our second most popular category behind any percent, and a very competitive leaderboard. ShinyZeni currently has the second fastest time on the leaderboard, I believe, at a 1:14.05. Is that correct, Zenny?
Yes.
And
that is correct.
Vying to become the second person to have a 1:13. So he's really been grinding it lately. You guys are in for a treat. And also, this was, I'll throw back to our most recent tournament, our multi-category tournament that wrapped up a few months ago. The finalists were ShinyZeni and Zost here, and they had a fantastic 100% race, which if you're ever looking for some Super Metroid content to watch, I would suggest going to check that out.
All right, so one of the things we're going to see quite a bit in this run is something called a moonfall. When you have a setting called moonwalk enabled, if you do a jump out of a moonwalk, basically the game uncaps Samus's fall speed, which allows her to fall really, really fast. The most noticeable place that you use that is in that big tall room that we just fell down back there, but there's a couple other spots as well. Basically, if you ever see me walking backwards and then jumping, that's at least an attempt at a moonfall. So
Yeah, it takes a pretty tall room to make it worth doing, or sometimes other particular it needs to be a certain, you can't moonfall everywhere and make it worth it because of that setup time, having to turn around and set up the trick. And the longer you fall, the more your speed increases. So you don't see it everywhere. And we actually saw it in the very first room of the run. This ShinyZeni's a little bit of a mad lad and goes for it. Personally, when I do a marathon run or a race, I just do the easier strat in the very first room, because you can kind of mess it up and lose some time there.
Yeah, luckily in this run, there are going to be, since we're going, to more places on the map than we would in several other runs, there's going to be a lot more opportunity to use some moonfalls in a 100% run because of a lot of the vertical rooms. It is a bit ironic that the biggest time save of the entire run is like right at the very beginning with that tech. But yeah, we'll see some more moonfalls as we go.
That's one of the powerful things about that tech is that it's in pretty much every run because it's in that early descending climb room there.
Zost, you don't need to be so formal. You can just call me Zeni. Come on, man.
Yeah, this is an all-star lineup. Maybe not with me here, but with Zeni and Zost here, we've got a ton of Super Metroid world records in both major categories and extension categories. But I'm pretty sure I can speak for all three of us when I say that probably the most prestigious world record that these guys hold is the 3-player co-op world record.
Yeah.
So a lot of great performances by these guys in a lot of categories.
It's a good run.
We had a lot of fun doing that. I have people. Oh man, that was a terrible drop spread. I have people pretty constantly asking me when we're going to do 100% 3-player co-op, you guys. So should get on that.
I'm down. I know Kip's just started school, so I know he may be busier.
Oh, I'm ready to start playing. Yeah, I think I'm busy, but I think it's about to slow down. So I think we can get into that pretty soon. I think that'd be fun. But real quick, I always get confused when I watch a lot of other games and people talk about 100% because, 100% doesn't always mean like 100 items. Luckily for Super Metroid, they made it simple. There are 100 items in the game, and so your final percentage at the end is exactly the number of items that you pick up. So we've got 100 to get. There are going to be quite a few items in this green and pink Brinstar area that Zeni's heading to, but we're only going to pick up a few of those right now. We will double back to this section of the game later Zeni will, to pick up the vast majority of the items after the wrecked ship section, and we'll also have a lot more items that will make that, those things faster. But there's actually items over here we can't really get to for time at the moment, or at least it's not optimal.
Yeah, there's a way to clip into the floor in that elevator room. We can go down there, but the setup for it takes too long. It's faster just to come back later. And unless you can do it the way the task does, but good luck with that.
Right.
But it's a power bomb floor, so you can't really get under it without having power bombs to blow the floor out otherwise.
Unless you're a cheater like me in the RBO run. Heckin' cheats. So there's a lot of fanfares in this run. It equals out to about 11 minutes of just pure fanfare. Something else that comes up fairly often in questions about 100%. It's kind of a high jump here. Oh, dang. All right.
Zeni was going, that strat's actually pretty tough, especially when you're kind of first getting started. I had a really hard time even getting it for the first time, but he was trying to do a reverse mock ball there. Pretty tight window. I think most of us probably, when we're trying to explain how mock balls work to people, I think we use the Street Fighter Hadouken reference. Basically, you can either hold jump or let go of jump and then press it again and then do kind of a Hadouken method on your or rotation on your D-pad, and that allows you to turn into a ball but maintain your run speed. And so it's technically possible to get under those gates with the smaller hitbox there.
Yeah, the difficulty with the reverse mock ball is you have to do a really short hop. Like you can't stay in the air long or else the gate will close on you. Whereas when you're going from left to right, you can just hold jump, the easy strat into the room, like from left to right, will just hold jump. Because one of the problems with mock balling is that once you let go of jump, you have to be careful with what else you're holding on the control pad. Because if you let go of everything while you're jumping, you're going to lose your forward momentum and you won't get a mock ball. So there's some, more subtleties to it earlier in the trick as well, in addition to what Kip said.
Yeah. Speaking of which, real quick, there's a couple things I want to add to that. One thing we just saw Zeni do is he shot that gate and then did a deboost off that bug to get some iframes to run past those hoppers. That's one of my favorite shots in the game because there's a few places in Super Metroid where it looks like your beam is passing through some kind of barrier, but somehow with the way the hitboxes work, you can figure out, where you can kind of shoot in certain areas to get past. So that was cool. But also what Zos just said, Super Metroid has, without exaggeration, very complex physics. And I'll be honest, I've played this game for several years, speedrunning, put a ton of time into it, and I'm still not 100% sure that I understand everything that's happening. So there's a lot to learn.
I'll tell you, Kip, sometimes I'll think about what I'm doing and then I'll start messing it up.
Yeah, I know.
And just the act of thinking about what you're doing, you're like, wait a second, how am I doing this? And then you forget because there's just so much to know.
There's a lot of muscle memory involved with this game. It's pretty intense for sure.
Going back to the fanfares, it's kind of a blessing in some ways to have the breaks from the action to give your hands a rest. It kind of makes it a good streaming game too, to have all these little breaks too. You can talk with people and just kind of rest yourself a little bit.
That's an excellent point.
Fanfares and door transitions are both really nice in that sense. Did we just get a big health from Mini Crate?
I think we did.
Boy, JRP would be proud.
That is a very, very rare drop right there. So, of course, GDQ luck.
Zeni just did a quick bomb jump here to normalize, I think that's the right term, to normalize his position. This is going to put him in the right position to do this quick kill. He's going to use 2 missiles and 3 supers. And that's the Crate quick kill for you.
Yeah, so the first missile causes Crate to open the mouth. The second missile actually hits. And the super missile is what is the thing that freezes Kraid's mouth open temporarily so you can get the extra supers in. And you need to be in a certain X position, like Kip was saying, to be able to do that particular strategy. But the mini crate drops, I think it's a 0.4% chance to get a health drop, and there's like 4 drops that are immediately that come out. Got a little unlucky with that.
I can't confirm this, but I think the official name of Mini Crate is Sklade. I'm not 100% sure about that, but if that's true, I always thought that sounded like that's AC Slater's cousin from Colorado and Saved by the Bell or something like that. He typically gives us 4 supers. Oh yeah, this is an E-Tank that we, in most categories would skip, but obviously we're going to grab everything. However, there is an item we just passed. I don't think we mentioned it. Zos, can you tell us a little bit about that Kraid missile back there?
Yes, there is a missile. Again, it's hidden behind. Well, I guess you could say hidden behind power bomb blocks, and obviously we don't have power bombs yet. So there are There's basically 2 forks to this route. The more common one is the one we're seeing, where we don't get power bombs early. And you can also go up Red Tower, do the hero shot up Red Tower, and go get those first power bombs that you would see in, let's say, any percent new route. I guess they're the first power bombs in old route too. But we can get those, and you can get Kraid's power, or you can use those power bombs to get the missile in Kraid's lair, and it will speed up a few things also in Upper Norfair here. But the routes are almost identical in their speed as far as how they work out in the throughout the whole run.
One of my favorite things about Super Metroid is how much we can discuss stuff in theory, because it's almost like every time a random person will come into like a top level runner's stream and say, hey, is X faster than Y? The runner takes a deep breath and then goes into this like long explanation for like, we think so, but we're not sure. It depends on like X, Y, and Z. So right. It's such a complex game.
It's crazy that works out to be so close in time too.
It really is.
Really with the complexity of this run, we could talk literally for the entire run and still not hit everything. So with that, I would like to ask if there are any donations.
Oh, yeah, there's plenty of donations. We have $50 from Carifus, who says, good luck, Zeni, and cheers to Zost and Kip. Kill the animals. We also have $250 from SamIam176, who says, always happy to watch GDQ. MSF is a particularly good cause to donate to in these times. Also, kill the animals.
I just want to give a heartfelt thank you to those last two donations. Obviously, donating to charity is excellent. In particular, in this case, we all want to kill the animals. I think that's true. So, all you people that are for kill the animals, let's get it in gear here.
One more $250 donation from Coffee, who says, kill the animals.
Let's do it.
I would also like to make a technical note here. The animals are not a percent.
That's true.
Contrary to the millions of YouTube comments I get on 100% runs that I've done in the past.
100%
Yeah, don't forget, guys.
item completion.
It's not just about killing the animals. It's also about saving the frames, which is what our friend Doughwolf says with a $200 donation. Save the frames.
One small thing I'll point out here, when I run 100%, 100% is one of the runs that I've done it a decent bit, but not quite as much as some of the other categories. And I still run the sort of safer route. Zeni's going to have one less energy tank from this point all the way through like wreck ship than you would potentially have if you did the older version with early grapple. And so even though you would think in a 100% run you wouldn't have to think about energy management and stuff, that actually is a very big deal in this run in this particular route. So Zost, do you want to just detail a little bit about why even now he's thinking about some of his energy counts?
Yeah. So after Fantoon, he's going to go into on the way to the wreck ship E-tank. There's a spiky room of death, and it's possible to take a lot of damage in that room. So that's one of the first things you really have to watch out for as far as energy in this run. And then after Fantoon, or after you get the E-tank and wreck ship, you'll be going through the rest of wreck ship and up to the ship area, or the landing site, and you're going to do a very long shine spark into what we call the gauntlet above and to the left of the ship. And that's going to be energy intensive to do that long shine spark. So you have to, or you want to save enough energy to where you can do that. So Zeni's already looking at his, not just his like energy tank count, like his counts in his energy tanks. He's trying to fill a little bit of his reserves, because before he does that shine spark, he's probably going to use some of his reserves there, just to give him that extra boost of energy to make that long shine spark.
Excellent point. And here we see Zeni picking up the ice beam. This is another one of those small changes to this particular route. If you were to do the traditional 100% route, you would get ice on your way to Lower Norfair much later in the run, kind of similar to the way 80% old route works. But here, we're going to need that ice beam when we get to Meridia in particular, so that we can get to the spring ball. Unless I'm mistaken, y'all can correct me if I'm wrong, I know that you can like X-ray into spring ball as well with some weird stuff, but if we're talking about the item sets that you would have in 100%, there's really only two ways. You're either going to use grapple or the ice clip. So he doesn't want to have to go back down the elevator to get that before he heads to Meridia later, and that's why he went ahead and grabbed that ice beam.
Yeah, you wouldn't want to do X-ray, because then you'd have to get X-ray before space jump, I think. Yeah, because then unless you want to leave Meridia and come back.
Right, yeah.
So, yeah. If you're a new player, you can also get ice even with the old route if you have trouble doing Red Tower. Like for a complete newbie route, you probably get ice, so you can do Red Tower without the hero shot.
That's an excellent point, and something that I think probably all three of us would recommend to newer players. First of all, we have a fantastic community. Super Metroid is a really, really fun game to learn how to play, no matter what level. And but that's the cool part about this game, is that it's so open to your imagination that even if you're new and you're struggling with some tricks, you don't necessarily have to do everything that's in the faster runs. You can kind of, come up with some backup strats or get some extra items along the way, and then over time, adjust and go a little bit faster. So It's actually more friendly to newcomers, I think, than people might think at first.
It can definitely feel overwhelming, but if you just, enjoy learning the tricks and you take it at your own pace or however you want to take it, it's very rewarding to get better and better at the game. The difficulty and the complexity of the game is what really attracts me to it personally.
Me too. Can you explain, Zost or Zeni, real quick, what Zeni just did there? He basically did what's called a short charge. We have the speed booster now, and he did a short charge and then ended up killing this hopper before dropping the power bomb. Tell a little bit about the lag reduction there and also how the short charging works.
Okay. So short charging, basically the way that it works is when Samus runs a certain distance, she will activate Speed Booster, but there are some key frames that actually apply that Speed Booster effect. Zost, if you want to talk about that.
Yeah, so when you're running forward, the game only really checks to see that you're running on certain frames. So you basically let go of dash and tap during those frames. Like you can do longer taps to be safer, but like you really only have to hold dash for those, like a single frame that it's looking for, those 4 times during running forwards. That way you can charge up your Shine Spark or activate blue echoes in a shorter distance, like a shorter X distance. And in that particular room, he did unmorph in a particular way to keep his blue echoes even as he was stationary, to try to kill some of those hoppers. Because the power bomb in that room lags a lot, as power bombs often do. So if you can clear out some enemies before setting off a power bomb, a lot of times it can save a lot of lag frames.
Obligatory ocean fly height. Excellent job, Zeni, there. That's a very tight trick to get, especially with beam. Y'all can probably correct me. I believe beam is tighter than super missile there.
I think so. I don't know. I'm not sure.
I think, if I remember, super missiles actually have the biggest window, but we need to conserve those. I don't remember for sure though. Who knows?
Yeah. If you get a super drop from the hopper, I think you can do the super door opening, but you shouldn't really rely on that.
Yeah, I also have a habit of missing a super when I'm shooting the eye door right there. So.
All right, everybody's favorite space ghost.
So this is Fantoon. He can give us a fast, mid, or slow pattern. Optimally, we want to do 2 rounds. It's a fast.
A little bit of a flame troll there. Zeni's gonna, if he wants to get a 2 round here, he's probably gonna have to do a little bit of a stutter on the last Doppler here.
All right.
Perfect.
Very good.
Done.
Fast mid.
That's quite a good pattern.
Sure is.
My PB had a slow, but I made a lot of pretty bad mistakes on the way here, so I'm 99% sure we're not on PB pace. I don't have my splits open or anything, so.
Small nuance. One thing that Zeni did there that is a lot tougher to do than people realize, the casual fan of Super Metroid, is probably familiar with fast, slow, and mid for Fantoon. But what they might not be paying attention to is if you leave Fantoon on the screen or not. And so technically you could have 2 fast mids that actually are not the same amount of time. And he did a fantastic job there of keeping Fantoon completely on the screen, which saved a few seconds.
Yeah, I think if you let Fantoon go off screen before you do the large volley of missiles, that it loses about 3 seconds, which is quite a big amount of time.
For sure, yeah.
Yeah, with how optimized pretty much everything in this game is at this point, even 1 second is worth trying to save.
Yeah, we split hairs over 5 frames or 10 frames, so like 660 frames is a big deal, or if 3 seconds would be 180 frames, it's a lot.
But that being said, I forget who mentioned it, but this game is very accessible casually as well, for sure.
There's a lot of resources, of course there are, for a lot of speed games these days. So we've got a speedrun Wikipedia. It's very helpful. Anybody who's wanting to learn information about the speedrun.
Yeah, and we've also got a lot of people in the community that are very helpful. Let me point something out real quick. This room right here with the wreck ship energy tank is one of the other rooms where it's much easier to have the grapple beam. So that was a really excellently executed bomb jump there to get over that gap. If you have the grapple beam, it's much easier. You just, angle, fire, and hop on over there. But this is one of those rooms where if you're going to run this route, you probably need to make sure you got that one on lock.
Yeah, getting that E-tank, the energy conservation around wreck ship, and the clip with ice beam on the way to spring ball were the three major obstacles to making this route work. Back when we did the old route, nobody did this route. And we got through Spiky Death. I was afraid I'd cursed Zenny with talking about Spiky Death earlier.
Yeah, I'm going to mention something about that room here in just a second, but let's look at this attic. This is a beautiful room.
The 100% attic strat is one of the hardest attic strats, so.
It is.
I messed it up, but we had a pretty okay recovery there, so.
For sure. And one thing I like about that room, and I think this is true for a lot of the rooms that are bigger that you don't shine spark through necessarily, is there's so much leeway for interpretation. There's so many different ways that you can, and creativity you can come up with to do strats. So what do y'all call the strat that you were going for? Is it Street Sweeper or something like that?
I don't even know anymore.
Yeah, I think they change.
I think Street Sweeper was an old any percent way of doing it. The Gary named. I don't know what the 100% one's called personally. If it has a name, I'm not sure.
Okay, we're good.
We can just call it. I'm sorry. I'd say
okay.
we can call it Street Sweeper still. I think that's still an apt name for it.
Well, I call stuff the wrong thing all the time, so who knows. But one thing I do want to point out that actually sometimes people forget or maybe don't learn for a while is obviously I think most people that play video games, especially retro games, are familiar with invulnerable frames. Getting hit by an enemy and then, having some time before you can be hit again. In this game, the timer that you have when you get hit is different depending on what you get hit by. So unless I'm misremembering, if you get hit by an enemy or like an enemy's projectile, you have a certain amount of frames, but if you get hit by environmental damage like a spike, it's less. So that's why the spiky Room of Death can be even more complicated, is because you don't have as much time as you normally would. And also this strat that he just did right here, why don't you tell us about it, Zost? It's really complicated.
So you see him shooting down almost seemingly randomly there. There are two robots under the floor here that he's trying to shoot and get out of the way. If he did the strat correctly, which I can't hear the audio right now, but I'm assuming he did, the work robot should be in the, there's little holes in the floor that they fall into that you have to get them out of the way. So those two charge shots make them back up into those holes, and then he lays a power bomb on the floor. And there's a Torizo holding a missile here usually, but it should be blown up already. The missiles are suspended in the air.
Gorgeous.
Yeah, I missed the jump into the room, so I couldn't do the first shot, but it looks like we got the second one, so.
Okay, yeah, that's good.
And what you're looking at right now, and gentlemen, y'all can, usually the two of y'all know more about some of the really weird, funky stuff in this game, but this item is the primary reason that you can't go to wreck ship first in 100%, because you need to get to that wreck ship reserve, which requires you breaking that speed block. So I think there's some really weird, maybe major glitch ways you can get up there. I can't remember, but the primary reason that they go down to Norfair and clear out and get high jump boots and speed booster first is because we have to come up here later to get that item.
I think the only way, or the primary way to do that otherwise would be getting a fake flash suit without speed booster.
I did the speedball Zost.
Nice, very nice.
Now you have to do it when you run 100%.
Oh, is that how it is? Yeah, but there's also other reasons why you don't want to go to wreck ship first, because that missile way up high in the air out in the open area, that would be really painful to grab without speed booster. You'd have to bomb jump up there. And a lot of things would be a lot slower, But yeah, the main restrictive item would be that reserve tank for sure, though.
And ironically, that missile you're referring to, for those of you that don't remember what we were talking about, Zenny got a missile that was like up at the very top of the room after you leave the attic and wrecked ship. One cool thing about Super Metroid, and it's really complicated, is you don't have a set way or a set height that you jump. Once you get speed booster and high jump boots, depending on how much speed you have, you go higher or lower, but it's not 1-to-1 ratio. It's kind of hard to explain. Sometimes you can be going faster and jump lower. So Zenny had to be really careful about like exactly when to jump to get those.
Yeah, your speed of moving forward and your jump height, they're sort of like, if you graph them out, with one on the x-axis, one on the y-axis, it'd be like a sort of a sawtooth pattern instead of a linear, just a straight line. So it's something you have to kind of... Another subtlety of the game that you have to pay attention to sometimes.
Zenny just pulled off an insanely difficult strat, and I'm not going to tell you what the name of the strat is, but let's just say that nice job, Zenny.
It's the scooter.
I also didn't fall down one side of those crumble blocks like I did in CRDQ, so
that's right.
We're now officially ahead of pace in reference to the CRDQ run, so that's good. It's probably because Zos didn't curse me this time. Do we have any donations?
Yeah, absolutely. How about this? Sassy Zenny and the 3 Zenny children donates $250. And they say, oh, hey, that's my husband. Dang, Kill the Animals is really struggling. Let's go, Squirtle Squad. We need to save the frames. As we know from that hilarious terminal montage, something about Super Metroid ending where the animals are saved, they're ferocious and thankless beasts on a mission to destroy the universe.
It's true.
Very true. We also have, in the exact opposite, Mr. Rhino donates $500 and says, Lunchbag the Eevee says, save the animals or it's not fair.
So we're back in the Green Brinstar area. This is what I was referring to earlier. We got a cleanup section here where it's still going to be quite some time before we see another boss. So we're just running through all these rooms trying to collect the items that we couldn't get the first time. But speaking of animals, whether we end up killing them or saving them later, we'll at least have to see one set of the animals during this run, and here they are. Everybody's favorite soft lock of their childhood.
So yeah, those little guys are called Edicoons. They're actually there to teach you how to wall jump. But yeah, a lot of people talk about how there's actually a save station down there. And yeah, people like to talk about how they would save and then get stuck down here and just have to start the game over because they couldn't get out. You can also get out through bomb jumps, but...
So Zenny laid a power bomb for exiting the Edicoon room. There's an interesting speed strategy where so the door when you enter a door, sometimes if there's a certain sounds going off while you do that, when you enter the door, the game will have to clear that sound cue, like if it's in the middle of a sound. So the Edicoon singing, or they're like singing the item fanfare and then wall jumping up and they make these sounds. Well, if they sing or speak at the wrong time, it can cause a delay on that door because of the sound cue. But the power bomb overrides that noise. So the power bomb was there to avoid that sound cue, basically, in the door.
Okay, so a couple things. Zenny just did a really awesome strat called Mission Impossible, where he moved fast enough to get back through the crumble blocks and kind of changes the way you would pick up these items. So that was really cool to see. Secondly, you just once again proved my point about one of my favorite things about this game is 2-minute explanation. How much time does it save? 3 frames.
Oh, wait, we missed another trick.
There's just so much to talk about. But yeah, this is a really fun section, I think. I'm a music person, so one of my favorite things is coming back to this section because you get to hear the Green Brinstar music again. And we got several super missile packs and energy tanks, and I think a few missiles. we're going to pick up, but there is still some Brinstar items, or there will be some Brinstar items that we will not pick up right now in the blue Brinstar or retro Brinstar section. We will wait to get those until the very end of the run. That'll be the last thing we clean up before heading to Torian.
Yeah, Kenji Yamamoto, I hope I'm saying that right, really crushed it on the soundtrack. It's no wonder that they hired them again to do like Prime and Prime 2 and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
I remember reading an interview when the 3DS game Samus Returns came out, and they were talking about how they got him for the music again because like they can just be like, okay, we're making a Metroid game, and he just does it. Like he just does it. So yeah, this game has a really, really amazing soundtrack for sure. Too bad we don't get to hear some of the best parts because of all the speed running. Maybe I should just stop and Red Brinstar for a minute so we can hear the full track.
Wish you got to give shout outs to Hip Tanaka for the original one, setting the whole tone of the series. But yeah, Yamamoto is so good.
Here's a fun strat. He's dropping that power bomb right there. And, you know, basically, I think most of the lag from a power bomb comes from the visual part of it. So you get kind of minimal lag as it goes off. But the reason he dropped that power bomb is because there's an orange door up there that we're going to be coming back to when we go to Retro Brinstar near the end of the run. And so it's much faster to go ahead and power bomb it now than it would be to wait on that later.
You know, I never really thought too much about that power bomb. I wonder if it's because the enemies aren't moving off screen that power bomb doesn't lag so much. Because that's a pretty big room with lots of enemies, but they don't. Yeah. I don't think they move off screen, so maybe that's why it doesn't lag much there.
That is, well. Yeah, probably what it is.
Always something new to think about.
That's right.
So I was on a pretty good pace yesterday in a run I was doing, and then in this next room up here, I lost like 10 seconds, killed the run. So let's see if I can actually pull this off correctly.
Yeah, here's a short charge.
What we're talking about, the tapping thing, you really need to do it here. Of course, if you're doing this for the first time, you can go to one of the rooms to the right and get yourself a nice long runway to do that speed boost. But yeah, optimally you want to do it in the same room here.
Yeah, if you're new, you can do that, or if you're me, you can do that.
Oh, please, Kip. You're a beast.
Dude, I try, I mean this sincerely, I try to avoid as many tight short charges as I can in some of these runs.
Kip's a beast. Don't let him fool y'all.
There's a turtle down at the bottom of this room. We call her Mama Turtle. She has a bunch of baby turtles. And she actually does a lot of damage if you let her hit you. So gotta be a little careful, but it's not too much of a big deal, 100%.
If you get here suitless for any reason, maybe like a randomizer or something, it can be very scary when Mama Turtle starts getting angry and you get stuck down there.
Yeah, I've seen a handful of people, and I've done this too, I've seen a handful of people on like one of their earlier RBO runs when they're still doing double Meridia go down there and they're just like having a good time, and then the next thing they know, they're dead.
What happened?
Protective of our baby turtles.
That's right. There are 4 of those. I think there's 4 baby turtles in there. Ironically, they are not referred to as the Ninja Turtles. The Ninja Turtles in this game are the 4 Rippers in Red Tower. So I don't know how that happened.
I didn't know that was their nickname. That's good.
Okay, I have to make an obligatory comment real quick. I mention this every time I do a commentary on a 100% run, but one of my favorite games of all time, other than Super Metroid, is Chrono Trigger. This next room that Zeni's going to come into, these little creatures remind me of the Scouts in the Ocean Palace. These little guys right there. I think they look exactly like that. And on top of that, here in Super Metroid, they're super annoying. So, nice little cross reference.
Can I butt in real quick?
Go for it.
I just want to get some hype because, guys, we just hit $1.2 million.
Nice.
Can we see some GDQ claps in the chat for 1.2 million?
Yeah. Any other donations?
Yeah, absolutely. We have the animals donate $100 and say, "Save us, you jerks." And then $500 from the piano-playing Wookiee that says, "Save the animals." And then $1,000 donation in the opposite direction from Gamefire, who says, "Shout out to the ruins of chaos and relics of Avabur community. Thanks to the gaming community that makes it possible for us to be able to give to causes that matter. Save the frames."
Listen, I appreciate the animals making a donation, but I got to question the source of where that money came from. I think it's them mugging all the people that get stuck down there.
This one's my favorite right now, actually. It's, we have a donation that says, sorry, I just misplaced it. Oh, where'd it go? Hold on.
Wow, you're looking gorgeous, Batoon there, Zenny. That was really well
Thank
done.
you. There's a lot of super drops.
Oh, okay, here it is. Yeah, it says, "Okay, I'm voting kill the animals just so that the pie chart can look a little less like me. Who's with me?" And it's a donation from Pat.
We got a full happy attempt here, one of the most iconic tricks in Super Metroid. And what do we call that? The quarter happy or something?
Quarter happy. I was too good. Had too much of a window there. Too bad. Blaming you, Kip.
Well, the ironic part is you're actually right. You were too good because you have to be exceptionally quick in the previous room to even be able to bonk right there to have enough time. So that was a really nice wall climb you did.
Thank you. All right, so we have a boss named Dragon coming up right here. Zos, do you want to talk about Dragon?
Sure. So Dragon is the only boss that takes speed booster damage. So that's the fastest way. It turns out to be the fastest way to kill Dragon as well. It's faster than even using grapple beam. So we're going to set up an X Factor and Shine Spark for the first round. You have to start running a certain time to set it up, the X Factors to hit correctly. And you want to Shine Spark Dragon around the top of the Dragon sprite because it's sort of like a triangle with one of the long sides on top, the hitbox for Dragon. So that's where you get the most damage. And we got a two.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Sess.
I was gonna say we got a 2 Spark as well, which is the optimal Dragon kill. And I think we got a good pattern as well. There's 2 good patterns and 1 pattern that loses about 3 or 4 seconds. I think we got a good pattern. But unfortunately, I think we got the bad frame on our spike suit attempt.
I don't actually know what happened there. I guess my finger was grazing the R button because Samus did a diagonal spark, which is very strange.
So
yeah, that spike suit is what I think double frame perfect.
Yeah, I think there's a little bit more I think you get like 2 frames at some point, but like for simplicity's sake, we'll call it double frame perfect. Maybe some Super Metroid speedrunners will be upset at me saying that.
Well, that's par for the course. No commentary.
It's basically a double frame perfect trick to turn a blue suit, which is a stored Shine Spark, but the blue suit you cannot hold the dash button at all. If you press dash with blue suit, you will lose the Shine Spark. But if you turn it into if you use spike suit to turn it into a flash suit, you can use the dash button. So that's why he went for that. Because especially in this category where you're going to pick up space jump, it's definitely noticeably faster to convert that blue suit into a flash suit.
Zenny just did one of the most swag strats in this run. Before I explain it real quick, though, I would like to point out that that Dragon was really nice, and that fight is not easy at all to learn to get consistently, like almost perfect. It's very difficult. There's a lot of moving parts, so that was really well done. But basically, Zos can probably explain this better than me, but Zenny did a bunch of things to set this last strat up. He took a D-boost coming out of the sand pit. Then he did a short charge, and then he used the blue suit with the space jump and kept his speed and ended up falling through the speed blocks there. It's really complicated, but it's very difficult to do. All right, let's, this is the biggest trick probably in this route. You want to explain it, Zos?
Yeah, this is a setup I came up with originally, like you... So he uses his charge shot to shoot the block that's above him to get that out of the way, and then tell me if you do this differently, though, Zenny. And the way I do it was, like, you repress shot before you space jump, so you have a stored sort of like charge shot, and you space jump up to the little Puyo, the little worm up there. In a particular way, you have to. It's not too specific, but it's kind of specific the way you have to jump up there. And you take a hit on purpose, and when she comes out of being hit, it kind of sets you up perfectly to automatically shoot and let go of that charge beam. Like, you're not fully charged, but you sort of have a charge shot held. And so taking the damage and this letting go of shoot as you land will freeze that Puyo at a particular Y position to where you can get above, like clip above that floor there.
Yeah, that's more or less how I do it. And the nice thing about that kind of knockback strat is I think it's like a 7-frame window or something. So it's not actually as hard as it looks. The hard part is that it's kind of a blind jump there to start.
Mm-hmm. Zenny also does that, probably the hardest way to do a consistent strat, but it's also the fastest. There's other ways that are a little bit more friendly as far as setups, like, but they're a little slower.
Gotta go fast.
That's right.
We just got our first sort of spring ball strat there. Now that we've picked up spring ball, he can jump in his morph ball mode. And I wouldn't say that it's like, there's kind of a lot of memes about how powerful spring ball is. It is very helpful, and there are situations in randomizer that it can do some things and get you places that other items can't. But it's not going to be necessarily an item that he's going to use in every single room, but there's definitely some swag stuff that he can do with it from this point forward.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's an item that's, if you don't have to get it, it's a long ways out of the way, but it's so fun to use, and it is a really great item. It's just like so far out of the way for anything other than 100%.
I agree. One thing I do like about later Metroid games is a lot of them either gave you the spring ball earlier or like combined it with another item, which I think is actually pretty cool. It'd be pretty cool to see, like, if we could have spring ball right from the get, like if morphing ball and spring ball came together in this game. I'd be interested to see how some of the early game strats might be a little bit different.
Time to make a new ROM hack.
This is another cool room here, Cack Alley. Ooh, nice.
There's so many cool rooms like this. 100%. 100%'s all about the really cool room strats. It's one of the biggest draws to it, I think. Just having all these items, you can do so many different things with the game's physics and the movement.
Without a doubt. And we're back in the same room we were in earlier that I think Zenny's, well, let's see. I'm just going to be quiet and let him do it.
Yeah, that D-boost. Oh my goodness.
I turned too early. I don't think we had enough height anyway, but
that D-boost.
Yeah, you can keep the blue there and get up all the way through those blocks. It's really cool when you do it right.
That D-boost in the sand pits before it's nicknamed the Yo Dog boost. There's a D-boost inside a D-boost. You can D-boost while you're D-boosting.
So last time we went down the first sand pit, now we're going down the second one. This sand pit will have, I believe, a missile pack and a reserve. And is this the last reserve?
No.
Norfair Reserve's still out there.
Oh, that's right. We get that late in the game. That's right.
So Zenny actually moonfalled down the sand pits there. It's a different. It sort of works out differently to where you don't just drop down the sand pit like you would in a normal room with moonfall, but you saw Zenny wiggling around. It makes Zenny descend quicker when you have that moonfall state. It saves about a second in the pits there. If you can get
I swear,
it
there's not enough time to talk about every one of these cool rooms. Like,
there really isn't.
One neat thing Zenny did when he picked up the missile in the reserve is he dropped a bomb in the gap in between, and in the time that it took for it to trigger to go off, he was able to get back and it bounced him over. That saved about, I don't know, 40 frames maybe. I don't know exactly. But then he also in the next room did a really neat double boost off of the projectiles from those shrimp. And now he's heading back into the Kraid layer to get that missile that Zos was talking about earlier. This is probably, if you run a 99% run, like if you know how to run this category and you accidentally get to the end and run 99, this is one of the potential offenders.
Nice.
Nice
That
speedball.
Love that speedball.
You need a very specific run speed and position through that door to make that work. So
Yeah, you have to do quite a short charge there, so you're not moving too fast to the left to get down and where you can start the mock ball low enough.
That's also a cool strat he just did in that room. I think that is something that was developed like somewhat recently. I say that it's still several years ago, but I think that particular way through that room using those shots was a later development. A lot of times people were using like iframes or short charges and stuff, but that's a much more advanced way to get through there.
So we're going to pass up Croc for now. The main reason, I guess the biggest reason to pass up Croc for now is there's a missile on the way up back to the Norfair elevator that we don't want to miss. So we want to use the Croc as an opportunity to go up.
Crocomire is one of the mini bosses.
Excellent chronic boost there.
Thank you. There's a grapple beam item down there that we'll be getting later.
So now we're coming up into my favorite section of pretty much any run, the lower Norfair section. In most runs of Super Metroid, the vast majority of runs, we go all the way right, even if we're going to double back to Golden Chorizo. But in this particular category, there is one item up here that we have to get by clearing this acid, and then also we have to have space jump to get this statue to trigger. So we're going to chill for a minute, but that was a really excellent strat. What Zeni just did to get through that room and jump over is actually quite tight. But anyway, we got to be careful not to fall through the crumble blocks down here. Normally I chicken out and just like, if you hold down the jump button while you're in Spring Ball, or while you're in Morphing Ball, you can just jump straight over. But the faster guys always risk it for the biscuit here. There you go, nice job.
You didn't curse me, Kip.
I tried to.
Actually, I fell here in the CRDQ run, so now we're like 2 minutes ahead of the CRDQ run. Nice.
So that crumble block Zeni just fell through will respawn. Like that's you can't really get from the bottom of this room up to that missile again. That's one of the reasons you can't come down to lower Norfair before going to Meridia, because that Chorizo that clears the acid requires you to have space jump to do its thing. If you don't have space jump, it won't clear the acid for you. It's kind of a weird requirement, but that's what it requires. There are ways to glitch up into where the missile is, but they're extremely hard. So it does that, and the TAS moonfall into the Green Brinstar elevator floor with the power bombs to clear out are the two potential routing differences that could be done to this 100% run, but I don't know if many people really want them to happen, because they would be really hard to do and would make the run look kind of, I don't know.
It would be in the spirit of how we view the beauty of the game, I guess would be a good way to put it.
Maybe, yeah. I mean, it's subjective, but I would agree with that too.
Actually, I did kind of a practice run with that ceiling clip, and it came out to be quite a bit slower.
Oh yeah, because there's so many things that are going to lose you time too if you come down here early as well.
Yeah,
you have less soup.
You have a lot less DPS and less movement items, etc. It just really slows down this area a lot. So,
and you wouldn't have space jump. You wouldn't have screw attack. You wouldn't have plasma, a lot of things.
I'd be remiss if I didn't mention the missile pack Zenny just picked up. We call that the Dead Mouse missiles. We used to call it the Mickey Mouse missiles, but the community got a cease and desist from Disney, so we had to we had to come up with something different. But luckily, Dead Mouse already has a global emote on Twitch, so he was cool with it.
These are referred to as the power bombs of shame because in any percent, the only time you ever pick these up is if you miscount your power bomb count.
Yeah, usually it happens when you miss the shine spark through the pillars, and you have to use power bombs to clear them out. And 100%, you don't have to worry about that because you have screw attack, so you can screw attack through them. But also, you have many power bombs.
This is a really neat room here, but what Zenny is kind of going through is, like, unfortunately, it's kind of volatile, and if the pirates just barely get off the rhythm that you want them to be in, it can be kind of hard to adjust. But this is one of my favorite parts of any run where you have Spring Ball here. Getting to move so quickly and bounce across that room is really fun. And now for probably the most complex boss in this game, Ridley. But he won't be very complex in this particular run. We only got to hit him 20 times. Or also a potential combination of supers. The supers do double damage, so they do 600 apiece against Ridley. So every 3 will equal a full beam, will equal 2 full beam combination shots.
Ridley.
Yeah, you could just fire them a lot faster than charge beams, so the damage per second's a lot better. Or not a lot better, but it's definitely better.
Yeah, and I think he just demonstrated something I've said for a long time. You know, everybody kind of hates Phantoon because of the RNG, but I'm telling y'all straight up, Ridley is the single biggest troll in this game, and even on a run where we're not in danger of dying, he still trolled Zenny just now, so he knows what he's doing.
For sure. I had a run recently where somebody was like, man, Phantoon is the biggest troll. And I was like, no, Ridley is the biggest troll. Ridley killed that run later, so absolutely. Do we have any donations? Whoa.
Yeah, absolutely. Actually, let's do a quick update on the incentive. Right now, for the Fate of the Animals, we have Save the Animals is at 24,769. Kill the Animals is at 16,572. So we would need about an $8,000 snipe to change the fate at this point. Let's see what we have for donations as well. How about this one? Sorlock says, it's 2020, so here's that amount in dollars. Making the most of a crazy year and loving this event so much. It's $2,020 from Sorlock. Wow.
Thank you.
And then another $1,500 from Dave110, who says, running out of time to taunt the animals, people. Do it for Zenny. Can I get one more in?
Yeah.
We have $300 from Dr. Girlfriend, who says Zenny is such an inspiration. What a run this has been. Look, we're not killing the animals per se. We're just letting them fend for themselves. Save those frames.
Nice.
It's true.
Thank you, Dr. Girlfriend. Appreciate that. And everybody who's donating, really kind of you guys to donate. We're really happy that y'all enjoy Super Metroid. We love the game, and it's always great to see other people that love it too.
That's really a strat right there. Call that the Hodorubi special. Hodorubi is kind of a legend in the speedrunning community. Back in the day, he came in and he beat the current records as of that time by so much that people actually questioned if he was cheating.
Yeah, it took 4 or 5 years for his records to be beaten, roughly. He had all 80%, 100%, 100%.
Yeah, we've talked about it several times amongst all the runners. Like, pound for pound, given the era, an incredibly dominant player. Just absolutely insane times for when he was playing.
Yep, shout outs to Hodorubi for sure.
Not just a speedrunning legend in Super Metroid too. He's been a beast of many other games.
Oh yeah.
So that's even one of the more impressive things about it is not just Super Metroid that he crushed a lot of games.
Even recently, I believe y'all can correct me if I'm mistaken, but I believe he has come in and significantly lowered the Super Metroid Impossible world record.
Yeah, I think so.
He did, actually, shortly after Oats and Goats' AGDQ run. Step up to the plate, Oats. Come on.
So we're coming up on the last reserve here. There's going to be 2 items in this room, and the strat that Zeni's going to do coming out back into the Bubble Mountain area, it's not necessarily like the tightest or hardest of the entire run, but it's one of my personal favorites. I just think it looks really cool. That's one of my favorite things about Super Metroid is just watching it is very satisfying because it just looks like a gorgeous speed run. So I hope you guys enjoy this. This is a pretty neat little boost here.
The spring ball into the damage boost.
Oh, baby.
Very nice. That's the thing that drew me to this game was when I first watched the speed run. It just looks so cool, like visually. When you go fast, a lot of times in this game, when you go faster, it looks cooler. So,
Right.
that's what drew me to the game, I guess.
This being one example with the swag boost through the door. We dropped that enemy through the door so that we took damage during the transition.
Yeah, that's a really neat one.
So Croc, the reason this late Croc route saves the most time, I'd say, the single most time save is just being able to plasma Croc. Because if you come here early, there's RNG to Croc, and you have to do these little... Well, Croc will retreat a little bit and then open its mouth where it could take damage, then retreat, and sometimes it can swipe the ground and lose time. So not having to deal with any of that and just having Croc go straight back into the acid. Nice spike suit.
Yeah, nice, dude.
So Zeni's going to try to hold this spike suit. He's got a stored shine spark that he can run with, but if it makes a movement mistake, there's ways that you can accidentally set off that shine spark and lose it. But he's going to try to take it into a later room and use it to its full potential to save time.
I got it. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Seth.
No, go ahead.
Well, what I was going to say is not even really that important. I was just going to say that of all the creatures in Super Metroid, there's only one in the entire game that I actually feel sorry for, and it's Croc, because what a cutie.
And Croc really didn't do anything. If you go into Croc's room, I tested this myself. If you go into Croc's room and just sit there, Croc will just look at you.
Yep. My theory is that Croc is basically like a puppy and wants to play, and then Samus, being the bounty hunter that she is just like, nope.
Another door deboost.
Very nice.
It's a fairly new strat there. Behemoth is a world record in this category, and he came up with a similar strat there, but it's a little bit too difficult for me. So a real cutie is another one of our runners, and he came up with kind of an alternative, and then I tweaked it. So pretty cool strat.
Yeah, having Screw and Space Jump down here, and for some of the other items you're going to get, is really helpful and offers some variety to the run. And that's another one of my favorite parts about doing this later is that strat right there where you get to spring ball across. Not only is it faster, but as Zos was talking about earlier, that just looks really neat.
One of the things that's kind of nerve-wracking about 100% is, aside from like the very beginning of the game, the strats actually just get harder and harder and harder. So, it's... Oh, dang. Oh. It's about the worst thing that could have happened there. That's okay. But yeah, so you can be on a good pace and you're doing good, and then something like that happens.
Yeah.
Yeah, I will say, Zenny, I mean, obviously, you would totally crush me. You totally crushed me in this category, but that was probably the single worst place you could have picked to activate that spark.
Absolutely. Yep.
But that was a really cool strat you just did there to get up the ramp.
In my defense, when Behemoth was improving the world record in this category about a year ago, one of his world records did that exact thing. So I'm not the only one. I'm just the only one who's done it in a GDQ run.
Yeah, 100% is not too scary as far as dying or anything, but there's a lot of places where you can lose a lot of time because the strats are very hard.
That's right.
You can just bleed time everywhere, or you can make big mistakes like that, or falling through crumble blocks where you're not supposed to and lose massive amounts of time.
Yeah, Super Metroid is weird like that because there are so many ways that categories can be really friendly as a beginner, and then like for example, 100% might be the most friendly as a complete beginner, but in my opinion, it's the hardest one if you're going for world record level execution. There's just so much, and the strats are so complex. In particular, if y'all wouldn't mind talking about this, I think Zost, you and I have discussed this before. I think the retro Brinstar section is incredibly difficult if you're going for the really tight, fast strats. Can you tell us a little bit about that section?
Well, you summed it up pretty good.
Not much to say, to be honest.
It's hard. That's all you need to know.
If you want to go fast, you have to do a lot of really hard things, and if you mess them up, then you lose a lot of time.
Yeah. The ratio of difficulty for time in that section, to me, is pretty severe.
And one of the interesting things is you look at this compared to low percent ice. Low percent ice casually would be way harder than this.
Right.
But the movement options are not nearly as intense.
Exactly.
So your movement is not nearly as hard as in this run. There's definitely a lot of difficulty to that run as well. But as far as movement, it's way easier.
Ooh, love that strat too. Yeah, so this is Retro Brinstar, Blue Brinstar. Almost every room in this short section is really complicated. Oh, nice. Zenny, I think you were mentioning one time that if you get a god run in a PB in this section, it's you're nervous about it the entire time because you're gonna have to run against it.
Yep. You can be 20 seconds, 30 seconds ahead earlier, and you'll just think about it the entire time, oh yeah, I have to do that. I've had at least a couple PBs where I was doing really good, and then I lost 15 seconds here.
Yeah, to me, Lower Norfair is not as bad as something like this at all. Where Lower Norfair is supposed to be one of the harder sections in the game, but just the movement through it is not. I mean, there are definitely some very difficult strats in Lower Norfair as well, but this section is sort of just room after room of very difficult strats.
Right. So let's see how we have. I think we have 97 items so far, unless I'm miscounting. I think we got 3 to go.
Yep. Had to think about that, but that is correct. Unless I missed one.
By the way, Zenny still has that Shine Spark stored. It does not. The timer for it does not run while on elevators, so he was able to get up there. Is it exactly 180 frames? Is it exactly 3 seconds that you get?
Sounds right. Yeah.
Something close to that. So he was able to get a short charge, hop on that elevator, and then immediately use it, which at first 3 seconds sounds like not much time. Well, I think one thing when you're a beginning player is you get really nervous about your Shine Sparks in terms of storing it versus when you activate it. But once you get into a good flow in the game, you actually have a lot more time than you might think. So you just kind of have to adjust to that. But really nice strat there. Freezing those, I don't remember what you call them, sponge-looking things, Puyos, something like. No, it's not the Puyos. What are those called?
I actually don't know.
Yeah, most of the enemies in this game have some really weird names. So we just call, like, if you don't know what it is, just call it a frog. That covers like about half of them.
They do bounce like frogs.
That's true. And this should be item number 100.
The last missiles, or the 230 missiles.
And that's a double play on words. Either one of you guys want to tell them why?
Well, it's like if you had full, if you had max missiles here, like if you had your max, it'd be 230 missiles. I forget.
The other reason is because if you look at the little room that you go through, it looks like the blocks. It looks like teeth, like you have cavities. So it's 230.
Oh yeah.
I don't know who came up with that, but kudos.
All right, we got about a solid minute of waiting if there's any donations.
Yeah, I've been so ready for this one. We have $2,000 from Waluigi, who just says, "Wah!"
Gonna give Zos PTSD on that one.
I'm back to fighting Dragon again.
MC donates $25 and says, "Sup, Zenny? Save the animals is what I would say if this was any other GDQ. Just for this once, go all out. Kill the animals!"
Nice.
Let's do it.
And then $100 from Bakash, who says, "Shout out to the whole SM community. Great to see ShinyZeni repping strong. Love the insights coming from the couch as well." Yeah, great job, y'all.
Thank you. And I'm about to put some massive pressure on Zenny here. The last time I commentated a 100% run of his, when he got down to these Metroid rooms, he absolutely stomped it. Like, these rooms are so difficult, but really look cool when you get them. So I'm just going to sit back, relax, and let's see if we can get it here.
Thanks, Kip.
You're welcome. that still looked cool. Ooh, that's a really good one right there.
Love that grapple. I don't know how you fit that grapple in.
Yeah, it's super tight. Ooh, baby.
Almost got the spring there.
Yeah. He's going for a really hard version of that room 3 strat where you spring ball through the door. It's a very ambitious strat.
It is very ambitious. And on top of that, part of the reason that you're able to go in this category for such wild strats in those 4 rooms is because it's one of the only categories where when you get here, you don't have to worry about your ammo. In most other categories, you're having to make concessions, for strats to try to collect. But here, you can just go crazy. But here we go. We got the iconic baby skip attempt. Oh, my God. That's
2
an
for 2
update.
on that.
Nice, buddy. The spring ball baby skip.
That makes up for the Shine Spark, right? In Croc's room?
Absolutely, and then some.
Yeah, that's way harder
Swag
than it
points.
looks. There's very little room for error in the way you move through to exit the baby in that strat.
Yeah, I don't think we could really fully describe how difficult that was. Let's just say that it was very, very impressive.
Yeah, skipping the baby to begin with, when people ask me about it, it's like I can give you a few little tips here and there, but otherwise you're just going to have to get in there and learn how to move with the baby.
Exactly.
Learn how to dance with the baby Metroid.
Well, as we get geared up for this fight, he's going to have to shoot 20 times to get her through the Mother Brain 2 section, and then after that, he's going to set up a stand-up glitch, which I'll let Zos explain, but I want to make a very small, quick announcement while he's fighting Mother Brain 2, something that I think Zenny and Zos will probably be happy to hear. I'm one of the organizers for our community tournaments, and we've been in discussion for the last few weeks about what we're going to do next, and here, probably within another week or so, we're still ironing out some details, but we're going to have our next tournament announced, and it's going to be a 100% item collection tournament. So for you guys out there that are interested in participating, even if you're a newer player, go ahead and get started. We love having as many people as possible, and our tournaments are always a lot of fun. So, Zeni, you had asked me about that recently, so I figured that might make you happy.
Nice.
I want to let Zeni explain the stand-up glitch since he saved like 50 seconds to me on our tournament race there.
Okay, so, well, first of all, I just want to mention that save kill donations will end at the end of the Mother Brain fight. So don't try and snipe it, just get them in. So the way that this works is basically the game checks when Mother Brain finishes that phase and tries to force Samus into a crouch, but as long as you're airborne, it won't force her into a crouch position. That was close. But also you can sort of manipulate the cutscene and how fast it goes based on how long you stay in the air afterwards. And then during this phase, you just want to get in as many shots as you can. We're actually doing damage to Mother Brain during this. Then the last thing is, once the baby detaches from Samus at the end of the phase, depending on the position that it's in, it will finish its cutscene faster or slower. Zost screwed me up, man. Anyway. So that was pretty bad, honestly, but who cares? More time for donations, right? So.
Rainbow beam time. Only got one of them.
All right, so that is the end of the save kill. Which one are we doing?
Okay, let's do one last refresh here. All right, you folks donated for it with $26,781 to $19,022. The fate of the animals is save the animals.
Oh, come on, you guys. All right, I guess we'll save them. Maybe I'll go rogue.
Yeah, leave them.
Ooh, a little blue bomber action there. That's an excellent strat. You can only do that strat if you have the spring ball on the escape, which obviously something like any percent wouldn't have that. Saves, how much does that save, Zos? Like a second and a half or two or something like that? It's pretty decent, isn't it?
I think it's just a second. I
Okay.
think. Zeni can correct me. It depends on how you do it, too.
Something like that, yeah.
Like, ultimately, you want to hit the top of the door frame. If you, like, go up to the very top of the ceiling, it's a little bit less. I think it's like 40 frames then. I think it's a full second if you hit the top of the door frame with it.
Gotcha.
Wow. All right.
1 second, a lot of swag points.
That's right. Ladies and gentlemen.
I thought about taunting you guys, but you know what? Just gonna save them. It's fine.
Boomerang attempts.
Got to give the people what they want, man.
Attempts. No acting like I'm running to the ship and then turning around. Just, you know. I know that we're already delayed because of our tech issues earlier, so.
And I got to give Zeni some credit here. He's going to run
Time
a
is
116.
when we enter the ship, by the way.
And this is an incredible time, given that this is just like a exhibition run. Well done, Zeni.
Sorry, what was the time on that?
Looks like probably going to be like a 116.40 something.
Okay. It's a little worse than I thought, but still, yeah, very, very good time for sure. So, okay, cool. Came in under estimate, gave us a few minutes back, so that's good.
Great job, Zeni. I want to say thank you to the SGDQ staff for working with us. Everybody's been really cool. And a big shout out to the Super Metroid community. If you guys like Super Metroid, we really encourage you to come play with us. We got a lot of cool categories and a lot of cool events going on. And Zost, it was awesome to do some comms with you. And Zeni, thank you for asking me to be here, man.
Yeah, of course. Thank you guys for doing commentary.
Yeah, thanks for doing comms with me, Kip. It's always a pleasure to do comms with you. GG, Zeni.
Thank you. Yeah, I feel like that run went, relatively well. In terms of execution, it was actually a little bit worse than CRDQ, but, I didn't make any completely catastrophic mistakes, so came in a couple minutes under. That's good. So generally we do wait for the item completion percentage at the end of the credits. But yeah, if you have any donations you want to read off while we're waiting, feel free.
Sure, yeah. Let's see. We have a little late here, but a $1,000 donation to Kill the Animals from TGS.
Thanks for your efforts.
I'm just going to go through some of these animal donations too. We have $500 from Sweet Baby Inc. that says 2020 has been a terrible year. The least we can do is save the animals. Well, we did that for you. How about this one? VV Extreme donates $25 and says, had to donate before this is over. We all know what we must do. We must save Minecraft. Yeah, Minecraft has a huge incentive. I think it's $400,000 to hit Minecraft. Right now we're at 50 something. Let me pull that up. We're at 53,610 out of the 400,000 incentive for Minecraft.
So I think we'll all be a little careful not to scream too loud into the microphone, but we've got a big customary thing that we got to do together here in a moment. Got to shout out to Deer Force. So everybody in chat, get ready for that. It should be coming up here shortly.
Deer Force was the developer of the game. So kind of a funny name.
Zenny, will you ascend to Deer Tier?
Will I ascend to Deer Tier?
I think that's like one of the things on the website or something.
Yeah, I think it is. Yeah, pretty sure it is.
All right, here we go. Deer Force. Good stuff. Samus is a girl? What? Spoilers.
All right, we're looking for that 100.
There it is.
Got him.
All right. I just want to say thanks again for the opportunity to run this for GDQ. Very appreciative, especially working through those tech issues. And